Hello and welcome. If you've ever felt a little intimidated or just plain confused by the IELTS reading test, then you have come to the right place. We're going to break it all down piece by piece so you can walk away from this feeling clear and confident. Everything we're about to cover is designed to help you tackle that exam head on and get one step closer to those amazing global opportunities you're aiming for. Okay, let's jump in. Here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with what the test is, then we'll get into the format, untangle all those different question types, arm you with some killer strategies, and finally, show you how to sidestep those common mistakes everyone makes. So what are we really dealing with here? Let's think of this first section as our map. Before you go on any journey, you gotta know where you're going, right? Understanding the basics is the first step to conquering this thing. I absolutely love this way of looking at it. It's not just reading. It's a 60-minute treasure hunt. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to race against the clock, dig through 3 dense passages, and pull out 40 specific answers. It's all about speed, and it's all about accuracy. All right, let's pull back the curtain and see how this treasure hunt is actually set up. Getting a handle on the format is non-negotiable, because honestly, it shapes your entire approach. First things first, you have to know which test you're taking. They're different. If you're aiming for university, you've got the academic test, which means you'll see pretty dense texts about science or technology. But if you're taking the test for work or migration, you'll get the general training version, which pulls from stuff you see every day, like ads or handbooks. Now let's talk about the most important number in this entire test. 60. You get exactly 1 hour. That's it. And here's the part that trips so many people up. You do not get extra time at the end to transfer your answers like you do in the listening test. Every single second of that hour is precious. And what are you doing in that hour? Well, you're facing 3 pretty long, pretty dense reading passages. We're talking a lot of text to get through. And from all that reading, you've got to answer 40 questions. Just think about that for a second. That works out to about 1.5 minutes for each question. And that includes the time it takes to find the answer in the first place. The pressure is definitely on. And it's not a flat race, it's an uphill climb. The passages are designed to get harder as you go. Passage 1 is your warm-up, so you want to get through that one fast, maybe in 15 to 18 minutes. Why? Because that banks you extra time for passage 3, which is always the toughest. Okay, so you get the format. Now what about the questions themselves? My advice is to stop thinking of them as obstacles and start seeing them as puzzles. And every puzzle has a solution. And when it comes to these puzzles, there's a lot of variety. There are actually 14 different types of questions you could see on the test. I know, that number sounds huge. But hang on, don't worry, you don't have to be a master of all 14 right off the bat. The real secret is just learning to spot the patterns in the most common ones, and that's exactly what we're going to focus on. Okay, here's one of the big ones. True, false, not given. This is where you have to be a detective. Does the statement match the facts in the text? That's true. Does it say the exact opposite? That's false. But, and this is the tricky part, if you can't find anything about it either way, it's not given. Then there's matching headings. This is a totally different skill. It's not about finding a specific name or date. It's about reading a whole paragraph and saying, okay, what's the main point here? What's the big idea? So, how in the world do you actually do all of this in 60 minutes? Well, you need a plan. Let's load up your strategic toolkit with the techniques you'll need to find those answers without running out of time. This is your pre-reading ritual. Before you dive deep, take just 2 minutes to skim the passage. Look at the title, any headings, get a feel for it. Then, and this is so important, read the questions first. It feels weird, but it's a game changer. Because now you're not just reading, you're hunting for specific information. And as you're hunting, use these techniques. Scan the text when you're looking for something specific, like a name or a year. Skim when you just need the gist. And please be an active reader. Underline things, circle keywords. And remember this little gift? For many question types, the answers appear in the same order as the information in the text. Knowing what to do is half the battle. The other half is knowing what not to do. So let's talk about the most common traps that catch beginners out, and more importantly, how you can just step right over them. And that brings us right back to this classic dilemma. We've all been there, staring at a sentence thinking, I just don't know, is this false or is it not given? Let's make this crystal clear. For an answer to be false, the passage has to directly contradict it. If the passage says the study took 3 years and the question says it took 5, boom, that's false. But if the question says the study was expensive and the passage never even mentions money, you can't prove it or disprove it. That's not given. And watch out for these other sneaky traps. Running out of time? Fix it by being strict with yourself, about 20 minutes per passage. Writing too many words for an answer? You gotta count them carefully. Using what you already know about a topic? Nope, your answer can only come from the text. And the biggest one of all, leaving an answer blank. Never, ever do this. There's no penalty for wrong answers, so always take a guess. So let's end with this. This is the big mindset shift you need to make. You are not reading to understand every single word and become an expert on, say, ancient pottery. You are a treasure hunter. You are there to find specific answers, get your points, and move on. That is how you win this game. This whole explainer was written, created, and produced by IELTS Guide Phil, and if you want to continue your journey, you absolutely should. You can read the original full blog post over at IELTSGuidePhil.com. For more explainers just like this one, make sure you're checking out the YouTube channel. If you want a really deep dive, tune into the Spotify podcast, and for great resources and support, come join the Facebook community. You'll find all the links for everything right down in the description. Thanks so much for tuning in.